Hello friends, my name is Dan and it's time for chapter 5. We finally get into the New Testament in our Bible story, scene 1, and it's called Bedlam. Now, I hope you know what that old-fashioned word means. I'm not sure people use it anymore. It used to refer to any environment that was over the top, noisy, and chaotic. And do you know where it comes from? This might be interesting to you if you don't know it. There was an insane asylum in London in the 19th century. It was called Bethlehem, but in the Cockney or whatever English accent it was of the time, that got shortened to Bedlam. So here we go. Glory Fire, chapter 5, scene 1, Bedlam. We had just stepped into a whitewashed stone kitchen when a heavy wooden door flew open, crashing into a low ceiling beam with a thud. A breathless girl of 15 stumbled in. Miss Mary, Apostle Andrew just cast demons out of 2 men at the same time. One of them was blind, now he can see. The other was deaf, and now he can hear." Her younger sister barged in behind her. "That's right, Rhoda and I watched. As soon as he did that, he vanished. And now he's preaching in the temple." The woman at the counter, evidently the one named Mary, put down her kneading bowl and wiped an errant strand of hair from her forehead. She opened her mouth to speak, but changed her mind and closed it again, shaking her head. The door had not yet closed behind the second girl when another form blocked the dusty morning sun. A strong young man, hair a disheveled mop with bits of straw sticking out of it. "Greetings, Miss Mary," he announced with a bow. "Just thought we should tell you." Before he could finish the sentence, he was pushed into the room by a small army of likewise straw-festooned men escorting 2 wide-eyed boys and a woman whose face was flipping expressions quicker than playing cards and slapjack. The men all spoke at once, so nothing was intelligible until a man, evidently one named Philip, stepped forward. "Pardon the intrusion, Miss Mary. We had to come and show you little Asher and his brother Caleb. 20 minutes ago, they were dead." The tear-faced woman laid a hand on the boys, coughed up an involuntary whimper, and nodded wide-eyed at Mary. Mary dropped her kneading pestle, breathed, "Oh my," and strode across the room to hug the woman, who burst into a loud wail and slumped to the floor. Mary found herself trying to comfort a woman shaped like a pile of laundry when yet another man pushed his head through the open doorway. "Everybody okay? I heard somebody yell. Bring him on out." He flipped a thumb over his shoulder. "Peter's shadow." He never finished his speech. As soon as the last 2 words passed his lips, the room exploded into a rugby scrum as 4 men, 2 girls, and 2 little boys scuffled, scrambled, and squeezed their way back out the door. Mary wiped her hands on her apron and reached down to the pile of laundry. "Quick, quick," she whispered. "Glory fire." Her strong hands hustled the mother, her 2 sons, and the rest of us out into the crowded street. We knew which way to go. We had no choice. The jostling throng was headed to our left down a slight incline to a wider street at the bottom of the hill. Our narrow lane poured its pedestrian effluence into a broad thoroughfare. The air buzzed like Purim Festival in March, but instead of tents and vendors, the street was lined with cots and pallets, each holding a prone figure in various stages of decay. There were motionless infants, not quite the right shade of pink, skin and bone gray hags without any teeth, and men with bloody stumps wrapped in tight, darkening rags. I pushed 2 fingertips onto my lips in the vain attempt to keep them from quivering and navigated a course right down the middle of the street, as far removed from the medical emergencies as I could get. Nobody was paying any attention to me. Necks were craned, eyes shaded, and ears pricked for a man still 100 yards uphill to our left. Peter. St. Peter to me, Apostle Peter to the insiders of the Jerusalem church. The man with the glory fire's shadow to the bustling throng in the street. The wave of cheers grew closer as he walked up the street, now on one side, now on the other. I had read about this in the Bible, of course, in the book of Acts, but had never quite pictured it like this. Teenagers and children were running, laughing, and screaming. Women wept openly. and so did a lot of men. Many of the sick tried to raise themselves to a sitting position as Peter drew near, their vain attempts accentuating how sick they really were. Many just rolled to and fro and groaned. And then there were the demonized. They were a different matter altogether. I saw two of them tear themselves away from their caretakers and run helter-skelter through the crowd in the exact opposite direction from the man with the miracle shadow. Others were held down, eyes rolling and mouths foaming, some trembling so violently I feared their skinny necks would snap. Peter kept on walking, stopping periodically to pat a young child or bless a baby who had just sat up for the first time in a week. But mostly, he just walked, looking neither impressive nor impressed. Two assistants walked with him, sometimes clearing a path through the huddled mass, sometimes diverting busybodies so he could keep going. The people hooted and hollered, wept and cried, laughed and cheered. Some jumped up as soon as the glory fire passed, then danced awkward jigs in the middle of the street. A man with a lopsided turban with long yellow streamers appointed himself a parade of one and followed Peter down the entire boulevard, dancing, jumping, and singing "Hallelujah" as loud as his out-of-shape lungs would allow. A couple of times he got 3 or 4 others to join him in an impromptu dance festival, much to the delight of the onlookers who clapped along with their ungainly gambols. My new friend, Mary, was careful to position little Asher and Caleb along with their shell-shocked mother so that Peter's shadow would pass over them. The shadow flickered across the 2 boys. They were unchanged. Nearly. They looked at each other with wide-open mouths and eyes, gave each other a big hug, and ran off squealing, Rhoda and her sister hard on their heels. The mother, who as far as I could tell had no physical infirmity, stood still with her head bowed and her hands in a receiving position. When Peter's shadow crossed her feet, she slumped to the ground again. But this time, there was relief in her tears and thanksgiving. She sat for half a minute, then stood up, her face beaming like a sunlit morning after a week of rain. She hugged Mary long and hard, then jaunted off after her squealing progeny. After Peter passed, the crowd lingered, drinking in long draughts of peace and enjoying a sense of community. Many had come into the city with the sole hope of being passed over by the man with the miracle shadow. Some of these had traveled for a day or more, and many of these were taken home by the native Jerusalemites, especially the Jerusalemites who belonged to the exploding church of the risen Christ.